In this series of lessons, we're going to introduce the concept of the bar chord. The bar chord is based on the open chords E major, E minor, A major, and A minor. But what we do is we take those shapes and we move them up the fretboard, and then the notes that were previously open, for example in the E shape, the E string and the B string and the E string are open, we have to bring those up along with the rest of the shape with a barring motion with our index finger. Essentially what we're doing is we're using our index finger as a movable capo. Because you're sliding open position chords E major, E minor, A major, and A minor up the fretboard, raising them in pitch, and then bringing the open strings along with them by barring them. Let's look at the mechanical process of barring a little bit more closely. So a bar chord is called a bar as such because you bar across all of the strings with your finger. What you want to do is you want to use the pad of your finger inside your index finger. You want to place it across all of the strings up against the fret, not on top of it, not too far back behind it, but right up against it, just like we did when we played individual notes in chords. We want to get as close to the fret as possible without being on top of it. And then you want to strum across so you can hear all of those notes ringing clearly and cleanly. Now it's important that you get just the right amount of pressure. That's because if you don't push down hard enough, you'll get a muted sound. If you push down too hard, it's wasted effort and your entire hand will cramp up because you're really utilizing a lot of finger strength when you're learning how to do bar chords. The right amount of pressure to hold down a bar chord will not be effective if you slide back too far. You'll notice that right off the bat when you try to move those around and try to find the right place for it. Also, your finger is usually not exactly perfectly straight like a fret, so you have to get used to where you need to put your finger so that you can hear all of those strings ringing clearly and cleanly. This is also where your thumb comes into play, really importantly, along with the rest of the mechanics of your arm. You want to remember that you need your thumb back here. It's your opposable thumb. It opposes the fingers on the other side of the fretboard. It's on the back of the neck. And what you want to do is you want to have your thumb right behind your index finger that's barring for the most effective pressure, and you want to make sure that you don't cup the neck, because then if you cup the neck with your palm, what happens is you're not using your thumb. You're not going to be able to stretch your finger around in order to get the whole bar happening. And even worse, whenever you do this, you'll notice that my wrist, I'm going to lose all the power from my forearm down to my wrist because I've got my wrist bent like this. Likewise, you don't want your wrist bent or curled too much, because then the tendons become tight this way and you don't get any of the strength coming from your forearm this way either. So you don't want to have your thumb too low and bring your hand around too much. So too much in either direction is bad. What you want is your thumb in the back and a comfortable amount of arch or curvature here. Not too much this way, not too much this way, but if I keep my wrist from my forearm to my wrist to my hand at a gentle arc, then I can get the most leverage out of my thumb and my index finger and be able to play that bar properly. Now when you first start practicing a bar, what you'll notice is that it's very difficult down here at the first fret because you have to have a lot of leverage in order to make sure that that really sounds good. I usually tell people, why not start up here at the 5th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Start on one of these higher frets because sometimes it's easier to hold down that bar. Move it around to a couple different places when you get more comfortable with it, when you can get it so that it's easy to play on any one of those, then start moving down and see if you can get it on the first fret as well.